What's up, Stu Smith?
Hello, Jim.
I'm wearing a cool new shirt that I got from my son-in-law. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, let's see it.
Well, you're like, yeah, I kind of see it already, dummy. But
I don't.
it's
I
what's on
don't.
the back. Can you read the back?
No, don't want my glasses.
Oh my God, dude, get the cheaters
You got to read
on.
it for me. Oh,
No, I
F
can't
around,
read it. It's on. It's
F
no,
around
no,
and
no,
find
no,
out. What does it
no,
say?
no. Look at the little character.
Forage around and find out.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Tactical Trash Panda.
Ah.
It's a raccoon with night vision and an assault rifle. I thought
Oh,
that was hilarious, man.
I
Tactical Trash Panda.
I like it.
I thought that was very creative and cute.
I have something I call the tactical groundhog.
What's that?
Well, every end of a season, I call it tactical groundhog week
Hmm.
where we just you know how the Groundhog Day show where you're just repeating the same old day, right? It's kind of like going back and you're now just testing everything you just worked on in the last 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So now it's a testing week, but I call it Tactical Groundhog Week just for fun. So
Is that the week where you make me basically do the same workout every other day, but you disguise it as something else, but it's really the same thing and you realize that?
perhaps, Jim.
Okay. I just thought it was a week where there wasn't a lot of creativity going on, and you're like, "Hey, we're just gonna make him do a bunch of max sets." Here I was, I didn't realize that had a cool name.
Yes.
So, it's interesting. Last, we do have something that we're going to talk about today, um, of course, and we're going to talk about make them an offer they can't refuse. But one of the things we talked about last week was some stuff that's going on that we're not going to get into, but talked about 30-minute power blocks, things that you could do in 30 minutes to get stuff done, to feel as though you were, well, to feel not as if you were, but to feel you were getting a sense of accomplishment and to give you a feeling of control when things in your life might be going a little bit out of control, outside of your control, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, life gets in the way sometimes of our best plans, and we have to figure out how to continue on to remain healthy and profitable.
So that's a great segue, Stu.
Yep.
And right now you're in one of those positions as well. And you said to me, you're maintaining the absolute. Whatever you said was better than I could repeat it. So tell them what you said.
I am on minimum standard time,
Okay,
which basically just means
that's somewhere between Idaho and Colorado. Eastern Standard, minimum standard.
right. It's basically life is throwing me a curveball, and my dad is sick, and I'm taking care of him, and it requires me to work less, work out less, but I'm still doing what I need to get done in order to stay, once again, healthy and profitable.
So, what are the things that you are doing? Let's start with the workout, and then we'll talk about the minimum standard work stuff. So, workout. What is a minimum standard workout for Stu? Like just one telephone pole by yourself instead of two, or
I basically cut my volume in half.
okay.
So, time, intensity, reps, weight, everything just gets cut in half. And I am really just doing a warm up, a little bit of the workout, and a cool down. Takes about, I don't know, 35, 45 minutes instead of an hour and a half. And that is enough to make me feel like I did something. It wakes me up from, a night of maybe not perfect sleep, being up later than normal. Um, and then I get to work and I do everything that needs to get done, like my article of the week that I need to do 3 times a week. Um, I do those ahead of
Whoa,
schedule.
whoa,
Like,
whoa, whoa,
oh,
whoa.
sorry. Go
How
ahead.
can you do how can you do the article of the week 3 times a week? That sounds like one of them oxymorons.
Well, I screwed that up. I do 3 articles a week for military.com.
Okay.
So I write those, and then I always like to do a couple on my own for my own site because it I use that as kind of like the big net that brings people in. Sending a newsletter, put it on social media, and it brings people to the store.
Okay.
So those are pretty much my kind of minimum standards. You
Okay.
know, process orders. While I'm sitting in a hospital room, my computer, and you know, that's it.
Tell me, are there any tools or anything that you're using to help make the article stuff easier, better, faster, less stressful, anything like that? Anything that you're kind of hacking up to do that?
Oh yeah. Usually what I do is towards the cool down of my workout, I have my phone with me and I have an article idea, so I just start speaking it while I'm walking and stretching.
Mm-hmm.
And then I email that to myself. And when I get back to my office, I take it and put it into the rewrite genie, use that as kind of an expander, turns it into more of a something I would write versus something I would say.
Right.
And then take that, and depending on how much it popped out, I will either put it right into a document and fix it, or I'll put it into super genie, super blog post genie,
Mm-hmm.
and expand on that a little bit, get some titles for it and some bullet points, and put that into my document that I'm creating. So that is how I use it, and it is saving a lot of time doing that,
What are
and effort.
what are you speaking it into? Like when you're walking along and talking about the article, what are you using your phone? But
Yeah.
what are you using an app?
Yep, I use the Otter app, but I've
Okay.
also, before I bought or got the Otter app, I used just my notes and just voice to text and just talked into it, and it worked perfectly for that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to do that with the Otter to be able to not only do the voice to text, but then it also creates a searchable database of all of my ideas and other stuff automatically within Otter rather than it just kind of being a note on my phone. That's
Right.
the big reason why I use Otter.
I agree.
Um, okay. So interestingly enough, though, your minimum standard in a lot of ways goes beyond what most people do all day, which I find interesting.
That is interesting.
Um, so there you go.
Well, thank you.
Um, so I think one of the other things that I wanted to point out was that what Stu's also describing is something that gives him a feeling of control, that he still has control over his business, over his life, everything, his physical fitness, his health. Everything is not all gone to hell in a handbasket and you're screwed,
Right.
but doing it to such a way that you don't overstress your body or your mind to be able to handle the other stuff that you're dealing with. Now, if you were to substitute dad is sick in the hospital for Stu, or dad is sick and in hospice for Jim, if you substituted any other thing that would be going on in your life, I'm raising kids. I have a family. I have a full-time job. I have all these other things. What is the minimum standard that you are going to maintain in your life? What is the minimum standard you're going to maintain physically, health-wise, nutrition-wise, um, business-wise? I know from the past, even from personal experience, people get sick, people die, things happen, and everything goes to shit. The diet goes down the toilet, the attitude goes down the toilet, the sleep cycle goes down the toilet, the finances, the attitude, everything. And yes, some stuff you can't do anything about, but you can maintain a minimum standard of I'm going to, in the end, you can control your attitude and your actions. Everything else around you can be melting down, burning to the ground, financial collapse, death, destruction, pestilence,
Hmm.
dogs and cats living together, the whole thing, but you can still control your actions and your attitude. And it's hard. It's real hard,
Yeah.
but you gotta do it. So maintaining, what is your minimum standard that you're willing to accept or not? And I'm struggling with it too, man. I mean, my weight has gone to shit as
Hmm.
far as just all kinds of stuff. It just
Remember
is
me?
what it is.
Remember me giving up caffeine? Well, that ship has sailed.
Just don't take up smoking again.
I did really well. I did really well for over a month, and then this happened, and there was just some times when I just needed to be
Awake.
uh, aware and awake. 10 o'clock at night in a hotel room or in a hospital room, and you know, I I can't I can't live off bananas in that moment. So I
Yeah.
have been I've been caffeining up as needed.
Well,
But I'm going to quit again whenever all this is over. So I liked the way I felt when I wasn't needing caffeine.
yeah, in 2007, I gave up caffeine for about 6 months. And then John got hit by that roadside bomb in Iraq, and I
Yeah.
had to start taking care of their dogs and taking care of little Johnny and other stuff like that. And I remember there was a Starbucks at the Farm Fresh in Norge, and I was driving over their house to let their dogs out, and I saw the sign for Starbucks, and I said, "Well, maybe just one." And I remember, dude, when that caffeine hit my body, and I was like, and it was like this warm feeling of energy and amazingness came over my body, and I was like, oh yeah, that's that daddy like. And I've been chasing that dragon ever since, bro. I've just every morning I wait for that hit. It just is what it is, man. So I'm
Understand.
not even there.
Understand.
You go.
Well, anyway, that's what I call minimum standard time.
Excellent.
In
That's a
fact, I'm gonna
great
write an
lesson.
article on that, Jim.
Minimum standard time. I like that.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, that applies in so many situations where maybe we want to let ourselves off the hook, maybe for
Yeah.
behavior or for all kinds of other stuff. And I'm talking to myself too, because I've done it. I mean, okay, sure, I'll eat that bag of chips because, well, I'm depressed right now.
Hmm.
And then when I ran a mile this morning, you'd be proud of me though. I ran a mile this morning, even after being sick and all the other stuff that's going on. I ran a mile this morning, and I didn't look like I was, had some kind of palsy or,
Nice.
just was afflicted mentally or otherwise, running up and down the street, talking to myself, muttering. This is, it's a little slow, but I was just some old guy jogging.
Yeah, it's all right.
Um, so
Getting it
that was
done.
that was good, but that applies in everything. So, all right, so that was kind of our preamble. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about. And what we were originally going to talk about today was making them an offer they can't refuse. You remember The Godfather?
Yes.
I actually
Oh.
don't know. Make them an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah.
What's the best offer you've ever made, Stu? Like the best offer you've ever made that people just freaking ate up like a
And I
biscuit
wish
and
I hadn't done
gravy.
it.
No, not and you wish you hadn't done. Well, okay,
But
whatever. Just
sometimes I overgive, and
okay.
I remember once I decided, on a whim without thinking,
Yeah.
to like, all right, I'm gonna have a 50% off sale, right? Not not even remembering that
Yeah, that was kind of
margins on books, aren't
yeah.
very good.
I'm gonna tell you right
Uh,
now, that was kind of ignorant. That was before we were friends, right? I
right,
guess.
right.
Okay. Okay.
But with
Okay.
with an ebook, it's easy because I make 99% profit on an ebook.
Right.
or probably 97% profit on an ebook. 50% off is not a bad deal. But I did, luckily, I sold a lot of ebooks as well. But anyway, had a 50% offer. And what I noticed is that, yes, I had to send out a lot of books basically at cost, but it increased my newsletter subscriptions by 1,000 in that 1 week
Wow.
of, and I only had it for 2 days of sales, but it got people at least interested and looking at the the website that had not been customers before. They were all new customers.
Wow.
Many of them, especially the new subscribers, over 1,000, but then probably had another, several hundred that were former customers. So
Okay.
it was a good one. 50% off, unfortunately, is not very creative, but, money talks. you know, um, money talks to your customer base sometimes.
Yeah, I remember, it's interesting you talk about a sale. We had a and this goes along with the best offer that I ever made. The and at the time it was the best offer I ever made. It wasn't necessarily the most profitable offer I ever made, but at the time it was. So it's like as you make offers, you want to try and make better and better and better and better offers. The single biggest offer I ever made generated somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million in sales. That's a good offer. But the one, you still there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You were like, I was like,
Oh
damn,
no,
did it freeze? This
I was
country
reading
internet.
comments as you were
But
commenting. Yeah.
there have been several offers that have been life changing and amazing. Over time, 2003, 2004, the multimedia info product offer. 2001, it was the 33 days offer, and the 7-day offer. And then I guess that was 2003. And then 2004 was mini site creator. And then 2006 was the net reporter. And then 2007, I think, was mini site creator 2. And then kind of puttered along and puttered along. And there were probably some others in there. But then 2016 was 2016, 2017 funnel scripts. And somewhere in the okay, and then 2016 was Jim Edwards Method Premium, and then 2020 or 2018 content marketing scripts. I'm screwing this. It's funny, I can remember the shit 20 years ago, but then the stuff in the last 3 or 4 years, that's the early signs, isn't it? And then 2022, 2023, copy and content. So there've been a series of offers over the years that have just, revolutionized stuff. And there's other stuff in here. Um, Website video secrets was a big one, I think in 2004, 2005. And it's funny when you think about these offers, different people that are in your life during the different offers. Um, Mini Site Creator was what made it possible for Susan to work full time with the company. 33 days, my buddy Yannick Silver and I crushed on that. Multimedia info product, that offer allowed me to pay off my house. Um,
What was unique about these offers, Jim, that
well,
enabled
yeah,
that success?
I'm formulating that in my head.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, the net reporter, having that going enabled me to have our business survive when John got hit in Iraq, because there wasn't a whole lot going on for a couple of years. Um, Funnel scripts is the one that just as far as just total volume, taught me about scaling and stuff like that. And now copy and content is the one that's forcing me finally to be a real, I'm not, this won't sound right because I've been a real business owner since 1997, but this is forcing me to become the person who's capable of creating or causing to be birthed $100 million business. This is the one that's forcing me to take all the lessons from all the past stuff and be the guy. And obviously, it's a total team effort, but I got to be the leader in
Oh,
all
sure.
ways. This is forcing me to grow. So, what do all of these offers have in common? What is the thing that makes all of these offers so cool? And the number one thing is that there was a clear problem that they all solved. Okay, a clear problem. 33 days to online profits was basically, how to start and get a real business up and going in 33 days. Okay, 7 days was I want to write a book. And all the other thing is that all of these were based on my direct experience and getting results in solving the problem, not wishful bullshit dreaming like most people do. What they teach theory and hype it up. Multimedia info product was basically I taught people how to burn, basically how to do what we do now, but burn it on a CD-ROM because um, nobody had high speed internet. So I taught people how to do what I had been doing with big six-figure launches for the guy that fired me with 33 days. Then mini site creator, what was the problem with that? How do I put up a website? How do I put up a website that sells? You know, interestingly enough, kids, I've been teaching people how to put up websites and write sales letters to sell on them for well over 20 years now.
Nice.
Clear problem, the net reporter, how do I run a business when I got it going? Once I've got it going, website video secrets, how do I make videos and get them up on the web? Mini site creator 2 was the next generation of mini site creator. Jim Edwards Method Premium was the next generation of the net reporter. Funnel scripts was basically stuff that we have been doing with mini site creator 2 and easy online wizards push button sales software. Content marketing scripts was next generation actually of funnel scripts, including content, and then copy and content's the next generation of all that stuff, incorporating AI and other tools. So number one, clear problem, clear understanding of the problem, clear understanding of what's the problem. Number two, clear understanding of the avatar, the ideal customer avatar. What, what's the problem? Who's the person that has the problem? Then the third thing is all of those offers removed all the obstacles for those people. Example, mini site creator. I don't know how to write a sales letter. I don't know what kind of website to put up. I don't know how to upload web pages. I don't have the software to be able to make the pages. I don't know, I don't. Made this giant list and then we included the software that they needed to put up their website to make it. We included templates for them. We included software to upload it. We even arranged for them to get free web hosting for a while with somebody that I trusted. And then we showed them step by step by step by step exactly how to create the 4 types of mini sites that people need to put up, which, by the way, are the 4 main types of funnels that people do now, which is basically
Yep.
a sales letter, an opt in, a catalog type site, which you would call e commerce, and then a bridge page, affiliate click through page. Those are the 4 types. Okay. So these are the keys to coming up with an amazing offer. Now, By removing all the obstacles, the fourth thing here is really an amazing offer stack. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But the other thing that all of these had in common, which I alluded to, which is a little different than talking about the offer, but I was teaching based on my own results. Number two, I had helped other people get results. So I had proof it worked for me and it worked for other people. And the third thing is that my story was an integral part of the whole process. Okay, so 7-day ebook. What was the story? I'd written and published several ebooks, knew what I was doing, had sold a crap ton of them, written up in the New York Times. If you want to be able to do this, I'm the guy to show you how to do it. 33 days to online profits. Same thing. I was just teaching the step-by-step mechanics of what I had done with the 7-day ebook and FSBO help and mortgage loan tips and 26 key typing tutorial and other stuff. So the story was a big part of it. And people want to just, okay, well, if the offer's good enough, it's kind of like, when you train for stuff, somebody wants to know how to get to buds, and there's always people ask, what kind of boots did he wear to train in? Well, shit, he could have trained in flip-flops. In fact, that might have made him tougher. But everybody wants to, oh, what boots did he wear?
Yeah.
What kind of shoes did he wear? What kind of supplements did he take? Which is all secondary to the fact that you've gotten the results, you helped other people get the results, your story jibes, and now all of this stuff is like falling off a log.
Right.
It's when you're trying to solve a problem you know nothing about. You can't get real clear on a problem that you don't know anything about. You can't get real clear on the ideal customer avatar if you weren't that person at one time, or you aren't actually working directly and closely with them to help them get the result. You can't remove all the obstacles if you haven't faced those obstacles yourself. It's one thing to talk about training for a marathon. It's another thing to actually put on your shoes in January and haul your butt out the front door and start doing intervals and do all that other stuff and feeling the wind and the cold and the chafing and the knee aches and the ankle aches and all the other crap that comes along, or being at mile 5 and really having to poop. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
That's when you're able to write that sales letter. I still remember writing that sales letter for Mini Site Creator. I sat in my blue easy chair. Terry was working at the police department, and I'd get her up. It was funny. She didn't used to be an early bird, but I'd have to get her up, practically beat her out of the bed. I'm in there making coffee. I'm taking her coffee. I had to turn her car on, wipe the windshield off on her car, and basically like carry her out to the car and put her in the car to get stuff done. And then I knew from 6:45 in the morning till 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I had to bust my butt to get stuff done, because when she got done, she actually wanted, believe it or not, wanted to spend a little time with me. And so I remember I sat in that chair covered in chihuahuas and typed up that entire sales letter to sell that thing. And we're telling the story about about Susan, and I was going to train her and all this other stuff. And it was your opportunity to get in on that first class and all the things that came along with that. But if I had not lived this over here, the offer wouldn't have been nearly as good, because I knew what the people needed because I had been one of them.
Nice.
Now, I've talked a lot.
Yeah.
It's what I do. Stu, now that I've talked about offers and stuff like that, how has this kind of stuff factored into what you've done as far as making offers and everything, like with your PT club or your books or courses or anything?
Right. Well, after listening to you, I remembered, oh, that was a good offer I had. That was a good offer I had. So more have popped up into my head other than just a 50% off offer. One I was working on for a while uh, that went really well was linking similar programs in my store library, if you will, to each other. And when somebody bought one, it would trigger a one time offer pop up um, at the time of purchase that was just a 25% off, you know, for buying this book, get its companion type book. And I I need to bring that one back because it had probably um doubled the or not I shouldn't say doubled, but it came close to, 75% increase in just sales, while those pop-ups lasted,
Why'd
right?
you
It was
stop?
yeah, I don't know, it was stupid. But like people would buy one and then it was more of a software problem, not really me stopping it, but I'll explain another time. But
Was that pre Shopify days?
Um, yes, it was
Okay.
pre-Shopify days, but now Shopify allows me to just keep it running, and so now I can see, where somebody purchased one and then they went through the one-time offer and purchased the second one, right? So that having that set up is almost like the easy button of offers, um, and it's got people that are already there in the process of buying anyway, and it's a real easy click, right? Versus being cold customers and trying to get them to your store with this enticing offer. I have found those offers to work better than anything I've ever done anyway. So there you go.
Absolutely. So there's a lesson here. It's funny how we always talk about how, oh, that worked great. So I stopped. It's, oh, that worked amazing. So I stopped. Um, in some ways, I think I was a better copywriter here than I am here. I don't, mainly because I was more instinctive here and I'm much more analytical here. I get inside my own head.
Yeah, you got some
Um,
experience too with that. Um, and 2004 would probably had a little more emotion tied to it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I need to get this done, right? Whereas 2024, I'm like, this would be cool.
But I'm still going to eat tonight, you know? That's you'd be amazed at when groceries are on the line as to
Yes.
how focused and committed you can be when it as opposed to, yeah, I'll get this done before we go on our cruise. And you gotta keep that hungry thing.
Yes.
A friend of mine said something I thought was really interesting. He said, the universe wants you to endure a certain amount of suffering
I
to
agree.
to make
I
you
agree.
value other stuff. And so you can either choose your suffering or the universe, God will just lob something over to you to see if you're still paying attention. I personally would rather add 5 more pounds to the ruck and maybe try and shave 30 seconds off of mile time to choose your suffering
I would
as
agree.
opposed to, well, he hadn't been kicked in the nuts recently. Let's hit him. But as opposed to the universe going, so you know what? He's suffering. He's doing it. He's good. We'll leave that one alone because he's also a little crazy. And so we'll just leave him alone and pick on the chucklehead that's, watching Good Morning America and shoving the third donut in his pie hole.
Well, the
Just
beauty
saying.
of, you know, 20 years ago when you're trying to figure it out, or if you're new to trying to figure it out today, I mean, we all go through these little transitions in life that,
Careful with that
will
word now. That could be a
will
whole different
occur.
meaning.
Yeah, well, that is true. But we never stop transitioning, evolving, right?
Yeah,
I've had a dozen transitions since I've transitioned out of the military,
right.
for instance. So I think embracing that and then looking back at it when you were busting your ass, working hard, trying to figure it out to where you are now, that is where the magic happens. It really is. You know,
It
I
it
know I'm not breaking, any records here with that explanation of,
no,
working hard and figuring it out. But I mean, that's where your stories are created.
it's nobody wants to hear the story about when things were great and seas were calm. They want to hear about how you were fighting off wolves with a buck knife tied to the end of a stick with some duct tape that you had from your shoe, and you weathered the storm. And I don't want to hear about the easy day you had before you started buds. I like that story you tell about the guy saying, well, gentlemen, last one in is a rotten egg. That's like that. And then you're like, ugh. So the thing is, though, I think also you talk about that evolution. There's a lot of wasted effort here too, a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
flailing around stuff. And now we move forward, we got to be like those two bulls on the top of the two old bulls on top of the hill, walking down to handle your business with everyone, not running down to handle one. You know what I'm saying?
I know the story.
And I think that's important too. You evolve. You gotta, there's a T-shirt that I want to get that says "Old age and treachery will always win over youth and enthusiasm," and that's important to understand. But anyway, I digress. Here's the thing: if we're going to finish up on offers, and by the way, we've got a really cool session coming up next. For those of you that are members of CopyandContent.ai at the elite level, we're going to be talking about landing page in a day, teaching you how to, in a single day, create an offer that you could make to cold traffic, warm traffic, hot traffic. All the BS aside, everything, you have the tools at your disposal now to literally make somebody an offer in a day.
Nice.
And that's pretty cool. Ann asked a question. He said, Jim, is Shopify your suggestion for best store? If you're looking to set up a store like what Stu has with a store at StuSmithFitness.com or something like that,
Yep.
that's your Shopify one, right? Stu Smith
Yeah.
Fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But bar none for a store type, e-commerce type, getting the stuff up running, that kind of a thing. Stu's store is amazing. He manages it by himself.
The
Uh,
beautiful part about it is, yeah, it has blog section in there. I can upload blogs and pictures, and has the store. Every store item has a social media link button that if
yeah,
I just want to click a Facebook, it goes straight to Facebook,
yeah,
right? Also has newsletters built in, has a membership site built in. Um, yeah,
yeah.
all handled on one page. It's incredible.
There's a reason why Shopify is a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
and as opposed to others that are not. We'll just
yeah.
leave it at that.
I
Okay. I
remember when
might.
they weren't. I wish I'd have invested in Shopify in 2010 when I purchased my first store there. So
Well, if hindsight were hindsight, we'd all be riding purple ponies.
that
I
is
mean, it
true.
is what it is. Um, so there you go. Okay. So talking about, I finished what I was saying. Anyway, talking about an offer, what are the key parts of an offer? You know the problem, you know the audience, you know the issues that they're dealing with. All right. Typically now, once you kind of know the offer, I'm going to show you how to create 4 types of mini sites and most profitable mini sites and get them up real quick. Whatever the big promise is, solving the problem for the audience. Typically then you're going to come up with the offer stack. What is the offer stack? It's all the stuff that they're going to get. There's 2 ways to do the offer stack. All right. One is you have all the stuff that they're going to get. And typically there's a title, there's a value, and then there's a description, and then there's a picture of the thing. All right. And then you do that with each part of the offer. And then at the bottom of it, there's a summary stack and then a price. And the price is amazing and everybody's happy. So that's the typical way. Now, people say, hey, I don't have a whole bunch of stuff. I just have one thing. I have a book. I have a course. I have a thing. Then what you do is you do a benefit stack. So you have the title, you have the description, and then you have a stack of benefits, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have your price. Typically you'll tell the price, and then you'll cross it out, and for today only, or for today it's this price. But so with a book, like might do Stu's, fitness 40 plus. It's funny. I was looking back at some old videos that we'd done, and 10 years ago, you promised me a real-time flexibility video. Just saying, it's been 10 years. I'm still waiting. But instead of, what this does is it makes them feel full, is the best way I can describe it. Like, this is amazing. So, exactly what to do to stay flexible over 40, 15 fast workouts, expert nutrition guide, boo. It's all the stuff that's in the thing as opposed to breaking it out over here. But what we want to do is use those things to address the objections that they have. The whole thing in of itself addresses the objections, but you want to have bullets that address each objection and show that it's part of it. So you stack the benefits or you stack the stuff, which in effect does the exact same thing. But the key is to have compelling titles, cool descriptions, big value, and then sum it all up and then do a price drop. That in a nutshell is a 2.5 minute explanation. That's how you say discussion and explanation at the same time as explanation of a cool offer and offer stack. And sometimes you don't need a whole bunch of stuff. You just need to break out the stuff that's in the stuff to make them want it. Okay. Yes, and so benefit list replaces extra stuff. Yes, it's a benefit stack.
I love that.
So, yeah. So there you go. What else you want to talk about, Stu? Or have we done what we need to do? We didn't really do any demonstrations or anything today.
In the email you sent me about today's show, you mentioned an article called "Used Value versus Cash Value versus Market Value as it pertains to your offer."
Oh yeah, I think that's the topic of today's newsletter.
Yes.
So, actually, this is real good. Thanks for the reminder, Stu.
That's what I'm here
done.
for, Jim.
Well done, Well done, Ed McMahon. Well done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I need to put on my Did you ever watch Johnny Carson back in the day?
Yes.
Do you remember and this is some video. Some trivia. What was the name of the segment that Johnny did where he'd put on a turban and he was like some kind of you know the one I'm talking about?
Yes.
He'd put on the turban and do it's like a mind reading thing, or a thing with a like a crystal ball or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
He was like a mind. Yeah, I can't remember what that was. Some kind of genie type thing.
He would take a card and put it up on his
fortune teller, almost like a fortune teller. Yeah.
He'd put a card on his head and do the whole thing. He was awesome.
Yes.
I forgot. Oh yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. We talk about when you're doing your stack, you have these values on here. This is the value. And then down here, we have this value. And then we have the price. Okay. And so the three of them were use value, market value, cash value, right?
Right.
Those were the three. Okay. So this is use value. This is market value and total value. And then this is cash value. What's the difference? Use value is how useful something is to somebody. So this is where you say, you know, I'm going to show you how to eat right. I'm going to show you how to actually buy your food at the store so you're not a fat, tubby waste of whatever. I'm going to give you this that's going to show you menus and all this other stuff. That's worth. And then where does that worth come from? Well, the worth comes from the result. So what is that result worth to somebody? What's worth thousands? If you were to hire a nutritionist, it would cost you $500 an hour. If you were to call, if I were to, excuse me, if I were to, if you were going to pay my regular rate, it would cost you X jillion stuff. Okay. So that's use value, how useful it is to somebody. In his book, The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles used an example of, if I were to go up north to Alaska and find an indigenous person, formerly known as an Eskimo, which now calling someone an Eskimo apparently is a racist microaggression. So a native person, and if I were to take like a Picasso and trade him a Picasso for $500 worth of furs, I have cheated that guy because he allegedly has no use value. There's no use value in that Picasso for him. However, if I trade him a rifle that cost me $200 and I trade him that for $500 worth of furs, I have not done him a disservice because he now has a tool that is massively more useful for him and he can go and get thousands of dollars worth of furs. Okay. So use value, market value, cash value. So I have taken from him relatively less in cash value, the $200, versus the value I got from him of the $500 worth of furs. But the use value that he gets from the gun is multiples of what I got from him. Everybody's happy. All right. So, how does this apply to your offer? When we're giving values on the things, we want to have as high a value that is understandable and believable as possible. So if you want me to review your website for you, it's going to cost you, literally, it's going to cost you $2,000 to have me do that with you for an hour. So if I include in a product a review certificate for your website, I can legitimately put a $2,000 value on that. Okay. And if I only charge $1,000 for whatever the product is that includes that, you are getting one hell of a use value out of that. You're getting one hell of a market value. You're getting one hell of a cash value. So what's this worth to them? What's it worth in the market? Again, what are other people charging? If you were trying to get John Caples, who's not even alive anymore, or Gary Halbert, or Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy will charge you $3,000 an hour to look at your stuff if you can even get him to do it. So the market says this price, this value is in line with what's going on in the world. So then the cash value that I ask for, if it's less than the perceived use value and it's less than the perceived market value, now it's a deal. So if all I do is just throw a $2,000 price tag on this with nothing to compare it to, it's expensive. But if I'm charging you $2,000 versus something that you can look at and say, that really is worth 10 grand and they're only charging two, now all of a sudden it's a real bargain. So you got to understand what you're doing here when you're throwing these values on these things. It's not just yanking a price out of your butt and putting something on there so you can get to the 10-to-1 ratio that all the experts tell you have to do. but it's why the price is there as far as the use value and the market value compared to the cash value that you're asking for. And I do a halfway decent and coherent job of explaining that in today's newsletter. You'll want to keep an eye out for it.
You know something I agree with, Jim. Just like your story about um, the trade with the gun. That gun is a tool for the Native American to um, make more money,
Mm-hmm.
right? The the high value that we put on that offer is a tool for the person who buys to make more money.
Right.
So if you that 10 to 1 can make a lot of sense whenever you see the return on investment being what it can be, on that. So, I don't feel weird making a high value, especially if you're helping somebody to increase their business.
And that's a great point that I'll add one last thing to. One of the trends that I'm seeing now that's working, a lot of people would rather buy a tool that they think can help them solve the problem than just buying pure information.
Mm,
So if you can package tools with information, with training, you're going to do a lot better
nice.
than
Yeah.
just selling pure training. Now, a tool has a lot of definitions. A tool, oh, I can't develop software. I can't do this. Tools can be checklists, diagrams, processes, methods, stuff.
A system. Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right. Great job, Stu. We're going to
Yes,
wrap
sir.
this up because we got to get ready to jump on to Genie Hacking here in a few minutes over on the Zoom link. Terrific job. I hope we met the minimum standard for everybody today. Oh, C. Ray said it was Carmack the Magnificent was the Johnny Carson. I
Good.
remember
Good
that. All right.
recall. Good
Good
recall.
job, C. Ray. All right. Everybody have a great day. Hey, by the way, if you're not already a member of CopyandContent.ai, you should be. Make sure you jump over there, join us. Can't wait to see you on the inside. Bye-bye, everybody.